Hey, business owners, what area of your business is stopping you from gaining complete control of your business? Head over to goalstoresults.com slash quiz to find out. That's goalstoresults.com /quiz. And I will share with you the roadblock that is stopping you from taking your business to the next level you deserve. We also are actively looking for guests on this podcast. Do you have a success secret about your business journey to share? Service-based small business owners, head over to goalsresults.com and click on the podcast menu item. I would love to promote your expertise to our amazing audience. Now, on with the show. Hi there. Thanks for tuning in for another episode of my podcast, Goals to Results Success Stories. I'm your host, Dennis Riley, and today I am with Steph Hilfer. Hello and welcome to the podcast, Steph.
Hi, thank you for having me.
Oh, I'm looking forward to this. This is going to be fun. All right, you ready?
Yes.
I'm going to throw some stuff at you.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, let's do it. All right, here we go. What made you decide to go into business for yourself?
Oh, it's actually kind of a fun story. I was always a serial entrepreneur, like serial hobbyist entrepreneur. I would start a business in my getting itchy phase. This is what I would call it. It's like getting itchy. I always worked. I was always an employee, but on the side, I decided to do a little design business. Very hobby, word of mouth, just kind of casual thing. And then would still work my job. I'd kind of get bored of that. I'd get itchy. And then I decided to start a photography business. So I'd do that for a little while. And I wasn't actually in this itchy stage. However, one of my close friends was clearly itchy. She asked me one day if I'd go on a hike, which is a total normal thing. I live here in the Pacific Northwest. I live in Seattle. Yes, it's raining. And we were going to go for a hike. And so I said, sure, let's do it. And along the hike, she proposes this business idea. And at that moment, I'm not itchy. So I was like, no, Amy, no, the last thing I need right now is to bring on a business. It's like not what I'm doing. But the more and more we talked, the more and more the idea of what we wanted to bring to life was coming up and coming out. And so I'm so grateful for that hike and that moment, because that is truly, so sorry for all the dings, guys. um, that moment on that hike was really where Viim originated, and with that partner at the time. So it was just deciding that there was a hole in what her and I, and especially I, have always brought to the employers that we've been with. There was always it was this pattern of every time I'd started a new company, I would do some of these, what I think is foundational things, because they weren't there. And so through Viim, I was like, oh, I could actually just do that. But instead of having to get to do it just for the one person I'm employed with, I can do it for a lot of businesses. And so in September of 2018, Viim was born.
Cool. And it's still going strong.
Still going strong
Very
on our
good.
5th year.
5th year. Well, congratulations on year number 5.
Thank you.
Along the way, do you have like a success story that, that aha moment that maybe you want to share with someone?
Yeah, I think for me, I don't know if it's being, I think I'm still fairly young. I don't know. Let's roll with that. Maybe it's being young. Maybe it's being a female in the entrepreneurial space, or maybe it's just that good old imposter syndrome. But there was a lot of times where for me, feeling like I could own a lane, I didn't quite feel that strength. And so to me, like a success has been being able to very proudly say that Viim is a branding agency. And now that might seem odd, like just speaking what you are was hard. But for many of the early years, I would introduce Viim as a marketing agency. Now, we do offer marketing support. However, we don't advertise those. We are a branding agency through and through. And that is because we start all of our clients as branding clients, because there's so much foundational elements that support your marketing that need to be done with the branding first. And so, like I said, I really it was a struggle for me to not throw in, like, the word marketing agency seemed to have clout or seemed to be cooler or be more needed and relevant when it would roll off my tongue as an introduction. And so to me, like a success moment was really just saying, no, I'm a branding agency and I'm so proud of that as how we start everyone. So yeah, that was a success moment, and it really has changed our language, our intention, the way that we visually show up. Um, yeah, it's been really a great transition.
So you pretty much did your branding on yourself.
Oh yes, right. Who isn't a maid, like a maid with a dirty house? We were totally a maid with a dirty house, really struggling to have that clarity, which, one of the earliest things we do with our clients is we discuss what they do. And that might sound so easy, but it's one of the longest exercises we work on and one of the hardest exercises our clients struggle with, because explaining what they do, but being clear about what they do are two different things. So, yes, I was a maid with a dirty house, and we are definitely cleaning things up.
There you go. Now I'm gonna do a quick reverse here. What was that moment that like was really a tough moment for you as a
Yeah,
business
I
owner?
think I had the blessing of having a really tough moment very early on in the business. And so of course that kind of sounds backwards, like, what? Why would you want it early on? Because we got through it, right? I truly believe that there is no such thing as failure, because failure is just an opportunity, right? Opportunity to learn, opportunity to grow and experience. And so early on, I had mentioned, today with you, that Vim originated on a hike with another individual. And so she and I started the business, but within the first 3 months, she had a job offer come up that she didn't want to refuse, couldn't refuse. And we went through the dissolution of partnership process. And so while we of course have remained friends and all of that now, almost 5 years later, totally, pushed aside in those moments, it's like, I don't know. To me, I associate it with like that junior high relationship, right? It's like so young still. We were 3 months in. We'd actually been dreaming up a Vim. Our hike was way earlier in the year. So it took us several months to actually get our LLC established and all that. But, we've been spending 6, 7, 8 months dreaming this entity up together. And then to have her move on to the next shiny object, the next boyfriend in this silly, example, it really did feel like a breakup. There was these grieving moments. There was things that we had to divide. There were assets that had to be divided. There were legal things that had to be, shifted. And so, like in seventh grade, your boyfriend has your locker code. Well, now you got to change your locker code. It's this whole thing. And so, like I said, all in all, I've had so many colleagues and fellow entrepreneurs who have talked, especially early on when that was happening, that I confided in on some of those emotions and moments, and everyone has said, gosh, you have the biggest blessing to have had this happen now and to have learned what you've learned, to learn a lot about contracts, to learn a lot about a lot of things. And so that was a very early on fork in the road challenging moment.
Now, speaking about challenging moments, 2020 hit everyone differently, but they hit everyone. What did
Yes.
it do to Vim?
Yeah. So at the time, I was wearing many hats at the time, and so when that happened, um, my bandwidth was pretty limited, and so I think in most instances, people slowed, and so I was kind of anticipating that because that's where everyone was going. However, in the digital world, in the marketing and branding world, we got an influx of people realizing this is where I need to double down. So people were slowing if they were, retail, brick and mortar, but anyone who had a digital presence was realizing, wow, there's a whole lot more I need to deepen with this. Experiences. A lot of times people would have a digital presence. They'd have a website. You could maybe you could fill out a contact form, and maybe you could book an appointment, very rudimentary use of their digital presence and their digital tools. Where 2020 happens, and now all of a sudden we have to bring everything that we were doing in person and somehow bring it online. And now in 2023, that doesn't sound that challenging. But then for a lot of companies, no idea how to get there. And then if they didn't have any digital presence, now they really realized, because at the very earliest times, some of us believed we were never going back in person, right? And I mean, I know it sounds foolish to say now, but truly in those moments, it felt like this is the future. And so branding became 20 times more important, because this is the way people are absorbing you. There's no, aisleway chatter at Target. There's no networking group. There's no conference. Those are out the window. It's really, how are you presenting yourself digitally? And that comes down to your brand. And so we got swamped. Such a blessing to be in that moment and to have things ramp up. We doubled down on our team. Got our structures and processes even more fine-tuned because we had more people flowing through. So we had to figure out efficiencies to handle the load. But I almost am embarrassed to say that it was such a beautiful, blessed year for us.
Cool. Now, tell me the characteristics of your clients.
Yes. We often are working, like the ideal client is a seven-figure business. Established seven-figure business, oftentimes several employees, if not 10, 20 or more. If you are a six-figure business, you're scaling, right? And when I say business, this could be a personal brand or a corporate brand. And so there is this place where our clients are already at, and they've either invested in their brand in some way very early on, but kind of just like DIY style, or maybe they've had, a few good books and a cousin who does design. That's about what they've done. And now they're realizing, wow, we are, almost hitting seven figures. We are like legit, but our brand presence, the way we look, the way people feel when they absorb our language, the way that our reputation is out there, doesn't reflect all the amazing things we do today. We have evolved from this baby moment, whether it was 1 year ago, 10 years ago, a week ago, right? Whatever your expansion timeline looks like, they've evolved beyond that. And so now it's time to really show up with that evolution, serving you both visually and intentionally, and integrating that throughout their marketing. So that's definitely kind of, as far as financial size and where they're at with their brand. But as far as industry goes, we do a lot of personal and professional services. Professional services such as like lawyers, legal, financial, anything that has to do with business, so B2B. There have been numerous studies that those industries that the consumers make their buying decision. 60% of their buying decision is made off of the brand elements, because branding is what conveys trust or lack thereof. And so when you're thinking about hiring a lawyer, a chiropractor, a dentist, and you're trying to make a decision, those are the elements you're looking for in their brand: trust, loyalty, reputation, reputable, educated, right? And all those things. Additionally, we work with a lot of personal brands. So high-end real estate agents, athletes, anyone in the political field, anyone who, once again, there's a lot of trust that needs to be conveyed with their brand. We work great with them. And then, of course, retailers. So, people now in 2023 and in 2012 and in 2002, right? We now all have these. So we no longer go to the corner store for groceries or to the local mall for shoes. We go to wherever we want to on here. And so, because of that, retailers have to really make sure that when consumers start to look for them and start to dive in, that it's not just out of convenience or price point, it's because there's a deep connection to the thing. I want to shop at this particular outlet because they support veterans. And that's important to me. And they happen to sell phenomenal water bottles. So I just buy my water bottles for there because I know it's doing something that aligns with me. And that was just an example, but um yeah, that was a long answer for my clients, but hopefully listeners are kind of realizing, wow, there's a lot more to this branding thing than I thought of.
Now, do you have a sweet spot in all the things you do? The one that's like, I can hang my hat on this and no one else can compete with
Oh, what a good one. You know, I will say that my background really, especially particularly me, but then the way I hire my team, it's flooded through them. I have always had this eye to make things beautiful. And I don't just mean femininely beautiful, I mean they look right. Everything that we do, the brands we put together are incredibly visually stunning, not just following basic design principles that work and are appropriate and stand the standards, test the standards. Excuse me, they just flow beautifully and represent you in a very visually stunning way. Um, and so I'm super proud of that.
you. Cool. Now, anything else you want to add about yourself?
Well, like I said, I guess this is just kind of silly, but not only, early on when I was serial entrepreneuring with my graphic design and my photography business, but whenever people say, well, what was your first, start with business? I actually started businesses as early as 10. I was that geeked out little girl with her babysitting business with punch cards and tear off sheets around the neighborhood with my parents' phone number, the punch cards so you can earn free babysitting hours, the lemonade stand, the car wash. It's just something that has been incredibly ingrained in me. And I know that those aren't abnormal things for children to do, but I always took it to that next level where I recognized very early on that there's more to just the act of babysitting. There's more to just the act of selling lemonade. There was always, buy more, get this bigger cup. You could get this cup for 25 cents, or you could get this cup for 50. There was always this element of business into it. And so I just have been loving like in podcasts, because I never really had that come to mind. But I love sharing that story because I think in the exercises we do with our brands, personal and professional, I prompt these ideas of what's some of the earliest things that you've done and why did you do them? Touching deeper into that, well, why? Right? I can say I did that, but why did I do that? And finding the answer to that is often where so much of our brands get inspired. And so that's what makes that authentic, unique touch that no one else but you can bring to the table. And so I like to share that story because now it's something I do with my clients as well.
Cool. Now, where can people go to find out more about you?
Yes, so I am a true millennial, so you can find me on social. I'm on Instagram. I am a human too, turns out. So I'm at Steph Hilfer. You also can find Viim at Get Viim. We're on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. You can also find us if you want to get a hold of Viim. You can go to getviim.com. Remember, there's two I's in there. So if you're listening to this or if you're watching this, two I's. And you can peruse all the things. I'm very active, so if you want to shoot a message, I will respond. Or you can book a free consult and we can chat about your branding needs.
Cool. Well, Steph, it's been a pleasure talking to you today and best of luck.
Thank you.
All right, you have a good one.
You too.
Thank you for listening to the Goals to Results Success Secrets podcast. For more information on Steph, visit her website at getvim.com or reach out via email at steph@getvim.com. If you would like to be a guest on this podcast, visit our website at go.goals2results.com. If you'd like to learn more about Goals to Results, head on over to our website at goals2results.com.